Hello, welcome to the Leadership Coach Group's webinar, Leading in Uncertain Times. My name is Michael Seelman. I'm the CEO of the Leadership Coach Group. We're really glad to have you here today. It's wonderful for you to be with us as we, pause and reflect and talk about how we as leaders can help others, ourselves in these uncertain times, and others that are looking to us for guidance. I'm really excited. In a few minutes, I'll be introducing my colleague, Rob Followell, who will be presenting his wisdom to share with all of you. And what we'd like you to do right now as we have people joining us is if you could go ahead and in the chat, which you'll see towards the bottom of your screen, one of the icons in the middle, if you click on that and just know where you're calling in from. We'd love to hear from you. If you just enter in the chat, you may be the city or the country that you're calling in from, we'd love to know so that we can reach you and welcome you to our webinar. So thank you, Rob, for starting us up. He's north of Atlanta in Georgia in the United States. Great to have you, Rob. Looking forward to hearing you share your wisdom with us. Who else? We have a lot of wonderful people. I see some people that we know as clients, as friends, as colleagues. We're really glad to have you on with us. We have Maya from our team calling in from Manila in the Philippines. Great to have you with us. Thank you, Maya. I know Carl's working busily. I'll introduce her. She's also from the Philippines. Great to have you, Carl. And Carl, thank you for everything you do behind the scenes to help us with these webinars and in front of this camera. Thank you. Who else? Just if you find that chat button, again, it's in the middle below the video. You can click on that and then you can let us know where you're calling in from. I just put in for me, I'm coming in from the Washington, D.C. area. Great to have you all with us. So again, welcome. My name is Michael Seelman. I'm the CEO of the Leadership Coach Group. We're so happy to have you here today for our webinar, Leading in Uncertain Times. And we invite you to enter into the chat where you're calling in from. The chat icon can be found at the bottom of your screen in a little bar, and you can just enter it, like maybe the city and state or country that you're calling in from. We'd love to hear from you. So it looks like we have Kathy from Cincinnati, Ohio. We have Kenny also from the Washington, D.C. area. Welcome, Kenny and Kathy. We have Brent that's calling in from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, coordinator at LSU. So glad to have you with us, Brent. We also have Joanna calling in from Philadelphia. We have Oliver from the state of Arizona. Sean from Chicagoland, the Windy City. Great to have you joining us, Chicago. We have Megan and Megan. Megan's calling in from Washington, D.C., and Megan from Charlotte, North Carolina. I was just in North Carolina, so great to have you with us, Megan. We have Andrea from Knoxville, Tennessee, and Andrew from Nashville, Tennessee. Andrew, I got to experience your wonderful city. My wife and I vacationed in Nashville for see some friends and really enjoyed all the music scene of Nashville. Great to have you. Truman calling in from Atlanta, one of Rob's neighbors in Atlanta, Georgia area. Great to have you, Truman. We have Glenn coming from us from Albany, New York. Thank you to Glenn for joining us. We have Michael Hornby from New Jersey. We have Bridget calling in from Broomfield, Colorado. Thank you for joining us, Bridget. Hope you're having good weather there in Colorado. We have Joseph from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from the 724 area code. Great to have you with us, Joseph. And we have Mark from Eugene, Oregon, Simone from Florida, Yin Win from Myanmar. So glad to have you from Myanmar. Thanks for joining us, Yin Win. think so far you're the farthest away from our presenters. So thank you for joining us, Yin Win. We have Spring from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we have Andy from Waterloo. I think that's Ontario. Great to have our neighbors from up north. And we have Charles from Tampa. So glad to have you all with us today. So thank you. If any else that are joining, again, my name is Michael Seelman, the CEO of the Leadership Coach Group. We're so happy to have you join for this month's webinar, Leading in Uncertain Times, presented by Rob Followell. And now what I do is like to give you a little bit of background about this webinar series that we do. And we invite you to join us every month, whether you come in with us and join us live or watch a recording or share this with others. We'd really welcome that. So you might say, well, what is this webinar series all about? Well, we call it Open Coaching. It's Open Coaching Webinar Series because we do it every month and we introduce some content just like you might happen in a coaching session. Your coach might bring some new information or new content, but the most important thing is we want to say, how might you apply this to your own life? And how might you then take that application and take some action that advances your leadership, your practice of leadership. So you'll see us do that in this webinar. Well, someone here will have an opportunity to be coached by Rob and apply some of the things that he'll share with you, his insights. So think about volunteering for that. We hope you will do that. And Rob's very generously offered for after the webinar, if you'd like to get one-on-one coaching with him in a kind of a micro laser session, you can do that with him as well. We'll be talking more about it. But every month we rotate hosts. We showcase the great talent we have on our team of coaches and presenters, and we share that with you. We hope you leave with those actionable insights. We hope you implement those actionable insights in your life. And to help you beyond the webinar, we also have a playbook. That term was coined by Carl and our team. That playbook gives you a step-by-step guide about how to implement it. It's got practical skills. And you'll see here is a picture of the playbook for this month's webinar. It has lots of wonderful exercises and reflections activities and ways to kind of go in greater depth what Rob's going to present here today. And it has 3 primary sections. It talks about the landscape of uncertainty. It talks about the leader's role in navigating that uncertainty and how to build your resilience and adaptability and your team's resilience and adaptability. And it has those practical tools and techniques and ways to apply these strategies. So after the webinar, you'll get an email that will have a link to a page where you can download this playbook as well as other resources. I wanted to mention that beyond this webinar and beyond this playbook, we have lots of different services that can help you. We have one-on-one coaching, and we have a very talented team of diverse coaches that can help you as you're dealing with these really challenging and uncertain times. So we encourage you to take advantage of those services. We also have services for your whole team. So whether that be team coaching or leadership training or these webinars, there's lots of services we have for your whole team. We also have a variety of assessments. So sometimes our leaders that we coach want to have a one-on-one coaching where we do assessment of their leadership. It could be either survey-based or interview-based, or we can do assessments of a whole team, like their psychological safety. We also can do DISC personality assessments and other types of personality assessments. So we have a variety of these assessments to help ground you in where you are now so you can know how to get to where you're wanting to be. So we encourage you to take advantage of these services as well. And our coaches are really talented. These are some of the national brands of where our coaches have helped leaders, including Oracle, Dropbox, Microsoft, Webflow, Facebook, Sony, Google, FICO, many health companies, you name it, our coaches have helped them. And you might say, well, gosh, I'm not in a national company like that. I have my own small company. Well, we've helped leaders of many small and medium-sized companies and nonprofits and government agencies as well. So whatever your situation, I'm confident we can help you. So please reach out. And many times when we go to webinars, and I go to these webinars too, I was like, oh, am I going to get, the slide deck? Can I get a recording? Yes. And in that follow-up email I mentioned, you will get all those things. You will get a link, and then a link will be to a web page where you can download the playbook. And we encourage you to do that to deepen your learning and to take action and build some reflection. We really want you to do that. And the slide deck that you're seeing here today that Rob will be presenting, that'll be on our website as well, as well as that complimentary coaching session. We encourage you to take advantage of all these resources and feel free to share it with others. And that email will come a few minutes after this webinar concludes. So now the main event, I get to introduce my colleague, Rob Followell. So he's one of our founding members. I had the pleasure of meeting him. Gosh, Rob, we might have met, 7 years ago now? And we met at a leadership training on Marshall Goldsmith. I know we were right near New York City, and I said, hey, anyone want to go see an improv comedy show? And Rob raised his hand, and the rest is history, as they say. We had the good fortune to connect up there and collaborate in many different ways, including founding this company. So thank you for all that work, Rob. And he's got a really amazing leadership history. He's been a hospital CEO and a healthcare executive for over 25 years in those leadership roles. And we were talking about that work in healthcare, and particularly in hospitals, is something that's really prepared him for this webinar. And then also the work that he's done since then. And as I learned from Rob and from our own coaching of healthcare leaders, healthcare is a rapidly changing field where you have lots of consolidations of hospitals and the hospital networks, where roles change, where people are laid off. Also in the United States, we're really into having the latest and greatest healthcare technology. That's something Rob's very familiar with, how to integrate that into hospital operations. So how do you bring the latest technologies in and have your workforce embrace it, your doctors, your nurses, your other specialists? Rob's been dealing with that for decades. And then you think about after Rob left the direct leadership of hospitals, he was mentoring hospital leaders during COVID. Talk about uncertain times where I know I was coaching some people in healthcare then. Sometimes they wouldn't even be living with their family, afraid of bringing COVID back to their families. The doctors and hospital officials were living in trailers or mobile homes on their own family property, not making sure not to have contact with their family, not to get them sick, or sleeping overnight in hospitals to care for patients and not expose others to COVID. Those were some really uncertain times. And who did those hospital leaders turn to? They turned to Rob to coach them and mentor them during those times. And so Rob has quite a history of helping people, leading them in uncertain times, and being a mentor and coach to others when they've faced their greatest challenges. And Rob specializes in one-on-one coaching, team effectiveness, leadership assessments. He's passionate about DISC assessments. It helps individuals and teams kind of see where they're at and the stressors they might have in the workplace. He's also one of our presenters. He leads our leadership training. It's many different things. If you like Rob, what you see today, you can get him in supporting you and your team in many different ways. And he's passionate about empowering leaders to achieve personal breakthroughs and foster high-performing teams. I can tell you when I talk with him, I'm like, Rob, we've got this challenge. This client needs this specialty help. He's like, I always love a challenge. He loves helping people and adapting to whatever they need so that you can advance in your life. And I know he shares with me when he gets those evaluations about the impact he's having. It just really lights him up that he can help people in their lives and their families, their workplaces. He just loves doing that. I know he's excited to help you today to lead in these uncertain times. So without further ado, Rob, let me turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. And everyone, it's a pleasure to be with you today. And I really want to pour into you all that I can. And as Michael said, I'm available. I will continue to pour into you any way that I can going forward. Today, the title of our webinar is Leading in Uncertain Times, and it couldn't be more relevant than it is today. And really, whether you're leading a team of 5 or you're just leading yourself or 500, all of us face some of the same things. Uncertainty is a common ground for us that we're all walking on right now. But the good news is that you don't have to navigate it alone. We're all in it together, and you already have much of what it takes to lead through it. It's just going to take the confidence to do that. So I want you to just slow down for 1 second. I want you to, if you're checking emails and, searching on the web, I want you to pause that for just a second. And I want to ask you to just be present with me for the next few minutes. You can't change yesterday. You can't change what took place this morning. And none of us are guaranteed even this afternoon. So the only thing that we have control over is the present moment. And the more as leaders we can learn to be in the moment and be present and be aware of what's going on around us, the better we are as leaders. And there's a lot of power in just being present without distractions. I teach that to coaching clients all the time and increase their awareness. So what I like to do is walk you through an exercise. It's a very simple technique called box breathing, and I'll guide you through it. But just focus with me for the next 30 seconds or so, maybe even a little bit less. Just listen to the sound of my voice. You can close your eyes if you want, or you don't have to. But let's just walk through a breathing exercise. So let's get started. So inhale slowly through your nose to the count of 4. And hold that for a count of 4. Now let's gently exhale for the count of 4 through your nose. Now just pause to the count of 4. Now just begin to naturally breathe. But as we're going through this, I want you to begin to focus on your breathing as you listen. One of the ways that we can take control over our nervous system and do a reset is through our breathing. Now we're always breathing, but we can change our breathing and be intentional about that. And when we do that, we really can then control where our focus lies. And so the good news is you can do this almost anywhere, and really nobody else is going to know that you're even doing it. So if you're nervous, you're going in to do a big speech or whatever, or you're just in a tough situation, uncertainty, you can really use that simple technique of box breathing. So let's go ahead and jump into our agenda. Today, we're going to talk through some strategies that hopefully will anchor you, your mindset, and your teams as well. And, again, we all feel kind of up in the air. And so these will be some tools that you can use to anchor that and understand what's going on. And here's the simple roadmap for us, or our agenda for today. First, we're going to explore the landscape that we're all leading in. What exactly is uncertainty that we are hearing about every single day? Then we're going to unpack what's your role, what's our role as individuals in the midst of all of this as well. And then we're going to discuss how to build resilience and adaptability, not only in ourselves, but in our teams as well. And then we're going to end things talking about some practical tools, and then open it up for a time of open coaching. That sound good?
Sounds great.
Carl, let's move on to the next slide then. So let's really set the stage. What is fueling this uncertainty? Well, it's a lot of different things. And before I jump into these, I just want to say, it's all relative. What we feel today is relative to what we have felt in our lifetime. But when you put it into perspective, it makes it seem a lot more manageable. We were just talking before jumping on about a great book that's out there for anybody called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, where he was in a concentration camp. And I'm fairly sure that anything that I've gone through in my life in the uncertain times can't even compare to what he went through. That doesn't minimize the uncertainty that I feel today and the uncertainty maybe that I've been in other times of my life. So it's all relative, but it helps us to put things in perspective. Certainly AI right now is evolving at a very, very rapid pace. The economic forecast continues to shift like the wind. There's global tension, global conflicts that are out there. The expectations of our workforce continue to change day by day. There's economic volatility. As I mentioned, global conflicts are there and changing truly minute by minute. There's, at least in the United States, a very polarized political climate right now, and we are being barraged day after day by negative news. No matter where we turn, we're going to see that. And it's not just the number of changes, it's how fast and how interconnected they are and they're becoming. Oftentimes we just feel overwhelmed by all that. There's a lot of power in naming this. Once we can begin to become aware of it and take control of it, then we're not just reacting, but we can then choose to lead through that. And as leaders, I believe that's our role, is to make the choice to say, I do have what it takes and I can lead through this and I'm not alone. Carl, let's move on to the next slide. You know, change is truly inevitable. Sometimes that change is driven by our own choices. We decide to change, or sometimes we make choices that cause change that we didn't anticipate. Sometimes it's external, things that are completely out of our own hands. And it's those changes, they're rarely simple, but it's something that we can take control of. It definitely is going to bring upon things within our own body that are stressors. And what I want you to walk away from is that you can take control of it. Sometimes it helps us to really understand that we are surrounded by other people that are going through some of the very same things that we are. And that if we can lead with empathy and steadiness, everybody that we're leading can feel that, and they're balanced by the leadership style that we have. If we are leading like our hair is on fire, they're going to follow that too. The speed of the organization is based on the speed of the leader. Carl, you want to move to the next one? So what is our role as leaders in all this uncertainty? I believe that the first thing that we have to do is set the vision, cast that vision in a very, very, very clear path so that everybody understands where we are. In fact, oftentimes I teach on vision, and I have a picture that I just absolutely love. It's like an oak tree in the middle of a field, surrounded by fog and maybe, you know, frozen kind of mist. And I always say that if our vision is foggy to us, then it's going to be a complete fog bank to everybody else. And so being able to have that clear vision and cast that vision to others is the first thing that we have to do. Your team is watching to see how you show up under pressure. Are you modeling that adaptability? Or like I said, are you running around, you know, like your hair is on fire? It's about fostering that autonomy, providing support, and really building psychological safety for your team. Being honest with them, being consistent with them, being open to feedback, being vulnerable, and continuously assessing the situation, and being flexible, being able to adjust your plans, you know, minute by minute if that's what it's requiring, or stay in the course if that's what's needed. Leadership is really less about having the answers and more about creating an environment where others feel safe, they feel valued, and they feel like they're equipped to rise to the occasion with you at their side. And I want to talk about stress, because right now we all feel it. And I want you to know that our bodies are perfectly wired to handle stress, to respond to immediate threats. Our bodies respond by allocating the available resources that we have to the parts of our body that will give us the best chance for survival. We are perfectly designed for that. But we are not perfectly designed for times of long-term, prolonged uncertainty and stress. What happens is that fight or flight mode, it doesn't switch off. Then it turns into chronic stress, and it affects a lot of parts of our body. And we'll talk a little bit about there, or you'll be able to see it here on the slide. Everything from our ability to sleep, our immune system, the clarity of thought that we have. Because basically what happens is that our bodies are reallocating those resources, the energy that we have, away from some of the things. It honestly, I always say, it's not really that important that your body digests this, chicken leg that you might be eating if the big saber-toothed tiger comes, if you can't get away. And so long-term, trying to get away, then we begin to get digestive issues, along with a lot of others that you can see here. It's like that proverbial frog in the pot of water. I'm sure you guys know that story, but if you turn the heat up slowly, it may cook. Day to day, we don't notice the impact, maybe until it's too late. So don't wait until it's too late. We can't afford to ignore that pressure that we're under, especially for us as leaders. If we're running on empty, we can't serve those of which we're trying to lead, or in my case as a hospital CEO, comes down to the patients that we're trying to serve. People respond to uncertainty with emotion. And I know that's no surprise, but sometimes becoming aware of that. Emotions like shock, denial, frustration, fear, and it's different for all of us, depending on our situation and our personality and what we've been going through. These aren't weaknesses, they're human. And as leaders, it isn't our job to fix it or to fast forward people through the feelings. Our job is to acknowledge them, to listen, to validate. Empathy doesn't mean that you lower the standards for other people. It just means that you raise your presence with those people. And then building on that, we've got the Kubler-Ross curve. I like to use this as a tool. It reminds us that people move through phases at different paces. The same person might go through a very similar issue at a different pace, depending on what they're going through in life and their past. Sometimes people get stuck in frustration. Others will sprint all the way up to acceptance. And truly, our job is to meet people where they are and to help them take the next step, not to leapfrog through those, but to go through one step at a time. Sometimes those are at different paces, but if you skip a step, they'll come back to haunt you. So let's move on to the next one. Over there. So how do we get really practical about some of the things we're working on? It starts with regular checkups, regular check-ins. First, you have to touch and check up on yourself, and then you have to check in with your team. And asking real questions and really listening. And it doesn't mean that you have a script that you're reading off these questions. You want to be with them and present and in the moment, and pause and listen to what they have to say. Ask better questions, get to go deeper. Create that space where people feel safe to share what they're working on, what's working for them, what's not working for them. And remember, control what you can, and then the things that you can't, just be open, be listen, be present. You can't always calm the storm, but you can anchor the ship. And that anchor comes from being consistent and have a clear commitment to communicating the mission and what's going on. And then lastly, it's about a deep caring for the people that you're leading. And beyond that, resilience really lives in our daily rhythms. Some of you may know about the law of rhythm. That will be for another time, but I want to encourage you and challenge you to really look at your own rhythms. Use those to your advantage. Don't try to swim upstream. Once you understand your natural rhythms, you can begin to go with the flow. And our purpose really does matter. Our purpose keeps us clear in what we're trying to accomplish. So keeping our purpose in our sights at all time. We started our conversation today, our team, with what is the purpose. We put that front and center to make sure that we're delivering for you guys what we want to deliver for you. And then prioritizing what's important. It's important for all of us, especially as leaders, especially in times like this, to get rest, to practice self-care, to model that self-care. All of these things, they're not luxuries. They are leadership strategies that you have to utilize. Again, if your tank is empty, you can't be there for your team or your clients or your people, or in my case, your patients. Developing a growth mindset, really, really important as well. And that doesn't mean that we love uncertainty, but it does mean that we are able to look at things, and when we face those uncertainties, when we face those setbacks, we see them as opportunities to learn from every situation that we go through. And lastly, is building a toolbox. You want to build a toolbox for yourself before crisis hits. And if you do it in the right way, it can be a really fun exercise for you. And you can build it now. Now's the time to build it, before the chaos starts. Because in the midst of chaos, it can be very difficult and your head is just swimming. So build it now. I love music, and having the right songs that will pick me up when I'm down, will slow me down when my brain is racing, are really important to have. I have it on my phone, and so I can go to that and I know right where it is. When I can feel stress coming, I can sit back and listen to some music. For a lot of you, it might be music. For others, it might be something else. And we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. But you want to keep that toolbox at your fingertips. Return to it often. Know where everything is. Just like any other toolbox, it doesn't help if you need it and you can't find the tool. So keep it at hand. Return to it often. Resilience is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it's going to get. There's a lot of detail that the list, we have lists that you can use. Again, it's different for everybody, but it's a prompt for you in your toolbox or in your playbook. You can go back to that to build your very own toolbox. And again, yours might be completely different than mine. When we are in the midst of uncertainty, making decisions can be pretty tricky, especially with all the noise, with all the pressure. And again, for me, when I don't get enough sleep, my head is in a fog bank for the first few hours. So it's that self-care is really important. And our brains, they're not immune to biases. And so I want you to think about that. We all have blind spots that we have to deal with. The first step is to recognize those blind spots. Whether our biases are confirmation bias, action bias, recency bias, attribution bias, we all face them. They're just blind spots, and we all have them. The key is, again, recognize that, raising our awareness. And when you see that, don't beat yourself up for it. Understand that everybody faces those. Give your chance. Use those breathing techniques. Slow down enough that you can see this. You understand what's influencing you, and then you can be intentional about correcting those and staying on top of it, taking control of that. I want to give you a simple technique that you can use. It's called the DECIDE model. DECIDE stands for define the problem. The second, or the D is to define the problem. The second part of that is to establish. You want to establish the criteria. Once you know what the problem is and you can lay it out clearly, I always encourage my coaching clients to write it out. Take the physical action of writing it out on a piece of paper that you can hold in your hand. continue to rewrite it as you develop that. And then establish the E for establish the criteria on which you're going to look through this. And then consider all the alternatives. One of the biggest issues that I see as a coach is that most of us, we want to narrow that down. We've narrowed it down to an A or a B, either or. You want to take the time to zoom out a little bit and ask yourself, what might I be missing? Talk to someone else. What are some alternatives that I have not considered that maybe I can consider? Then you want to I for identify. Identify the best of those choices. And then lastly, or the next one is the D, develop. Develop a plan of action. You've identified all the alternatives. You've identified which one you think is the best one. Now you're going to develop the plan. And the last part of that is the E, evaluate. How are you going to evaluate your plan? The great thing about all of us is that we have the opportunity to step in, make choices, and then make new choices. So if you're going to make a choice, you've picked an alternative, how do you evaluate that in order to make potential choices again? So you're going to just put this into a loop. I know it's very simple, but it's a very powerful tool. It gives us a structure. When your emotions want to take the wheel, you can kind of slow down. It not only helps you to focus, but it also invites other people into the process. And when you do that, you're building trust with your team. So let's pull this all together and land the plane. Right now, all of us are living in a pretty rapid environment, rapid change. The world is with us. We're all more and more interconnected than ever. The changes are more interconnected. And as leaders, we don't have total control. In fact, sometimes it feels like we have very little control over the pace of change. But we do have influence over our own thoughts, what we become aware of, and the mindset that we have, and the way we attribute meaning to different things, and over the influence that we have on the people that we're trying to lead. Your role as a leader is to be that steady hand, the clear voice, the builder of resilience. And it starts with you. You have to build it within yourself, and then you can model that and help your team to build that resilience for themselves. Share your toolkit with them. Share your playbook with them. Lead with empathy. Communicate with clarity. Decide with confidence. And above all, remind yourself that you are absolutely built for this. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present, and you have to be intentional. And Michael, with that, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Rob, thank you very much for sharing that wonderful content and your experience. We really appreciate it. Now is also an opportunity to go more in depth to get one-on-one support from Rob. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, this is what we call the open coaching part, where we look for a volunteer that can come on camera, on microphone, to talk about their own particular situation of leading in uncertain times, and have Rob help you walk through that, how you might handle that situation, perhaps use some of the models that Rob talked about, the frameworks of the DECIDE model or other things. He might help you walk through to apply to your own particular situation. And when you come on camera, of course, that we take that as in consent to being recorded, because we want to be able to share the recording of this webinar with others. So as you get help working through your situation, it'll probably help the other people that are participating now and the ones that might see the recording, so they can get a sense of how they might step through the process that Rob just outlined for all of us. To have the best experience in participating, we want the volunteer to be joining us through a desktop computer or a laptop. It doesn't really work on a mobile phone. So if you have a desktop or computer or laptop and you're ready to come on camera, we'd ask you to just put "I volunteer" in the chat, and that we can bring you to being on camera, and so you can have a dialogue with Rob and you can get a taste of what it's like to be coached. So we're just looking for someone to put "I volunteer" in the chat, and then you bring you to join us on camera. While you're thinking about that, I also want to mention you got the help of Rob, but you also got Rob's got a lot of amazing colleagues. I have wonderful colleagues, Leadership Coach Group, and they can support you too. And so I want to ask Maya and put her email address, Maya at Leadership Coach Group, in the chat, and mine, Michael at leadershipcoachgroup.com. So Maya at leadershipcoachgroup.com and Michael at leadershipcoachgroup.com. The two of us are available to you to access all our other resources. So we encourage you to use those. So again, if anyone's ready to be coached by Rob, if you could just put "I volunteer" in the chat, and we can bring you in to come on camera and to be coached by Rob. Maya, thank you for putting our email addresses in the chat. So this is your opportunity. Don't be shy. Part of what Rob suggested is to be vulnerable as a leader, to put yourself out there. That allows others to know that it's safe for them to be vulnerable too. I saw Brent was saying really got a lot from what Rob was sharing. Kathy also mentioned that I think it was the Viktor Frankl book, one of your favorite books as well. So thank you for sharing that in the chat. Let's have someone volunteer. Michael Hornby. Thank you very much, Michael, for volunteering. Like your name, by the way. We're going to bring Michael in to be coached by Rob. And so Michael, just Rob will take you through how he can help you. Let's see. Okay, so in just a moment, Michael should be able to be on camera. And after that, I'll hand it over to you, Rob, to coach Michael. So Michael, I'll just ask you to activate your camera and audio, and that way Rob will be able to see and hear you. Can you hear us, Michael?
I can definitely hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you. I can't
cannot
see you, but I hear you.
There we go. Terrific.
Can you see me now?
Yes. Thank you so much for volunteering, Michael. I'm going to hand it over to you and Rob.
Right now, I see you, Michael. How's it going, Michael?
I can't see me though, so I hope I look good. So
You're looking good.
thanks,
Michael. Thanks for.
I really enjoyed the webinar. It's very informative. It's awesome.
Glad you enjoyed it. I hope you got some takeaways from it that you can use starting this afternoon. So what's on your mind, Michael?
So uncertainty is a weird thing. There's a lot of, even during certainty, there's moments of uncertainty. And I'm growing a business, and I'm working with a new team member that is, we're making him a leader in one of our teams. And we gave him some criteria that we were looking to achieve from him. And after just 1 week, he came in and said, well, I feel like I'm doing 2 positions, and I'd like to get more money, which I thought was kind of interesting. So you're frozen. I hope I'm not.
I see you.
Okay, great. Oh, there you go. I see you now. Yeah, so I had a conversation with the man and explained to him again what the job was. And I offered him additional compensation in the form of a profit sharing. And during the conversation, I explained to him what his responsibilities would be. And the challenge that I had is that it seemed that he maybe wasn't getting it. We did have a disc profile done on him. He's a CSI, so he would normally not be one that's going to jump out and give a lot of information. He'd like to take a lot of time to figure out his thinking on it. And I'm just not sure what his takeaway was on the situation. So maybe you can help me work through that.
Sure. many people on the call might not know about DISC. So let me ask you a question. What is your DISC style?
My disc style is an ID,
Okay.
which means I'm outgoing, and I'm also very results driven.
So knowing DISC, what are some of the opposite personalities that might be a struggle for you?
The struggle with me would be the person that is dealing with. He's a CSI, and so he is pretty much the opposite. He has that I in there, so he's friendly and nice, but mostly he's very conservative, very steady, and very reserved. And I'm more outgoing.
So becoming aware that by nature, your style and his style, there's some conflict, and being aware of what his fears are and what his needs are can be a really powerful tool for you. You know, what stories are you telling yourself right now about this individual and about the situation?
I'm sorry. One more. The
No worries.
housekeeping.
No worries. So my question was, what stories are you telling yourself right now about this individual and about the situation?
So the first thing that came to my mind was that he just wants more money. And my concern is that because I have a D style, my immediate reaction without thinking is that he's trying to take advantage. But thinking through it now at the same time, I realized that he's just trying to cover his butt and take care of what's important to him and his family. That makes sense? Did I get that
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I got that from the webinar. So that's the answer to that question, I think.
Yeah. What other stories could you be telling yourself that you're not? What's an alternative story? Just doesn't have to be you don't have to be accurate, but what's a possibility?
A possibility is that he does care about the company. He cares about all of the situation, not just him, and that he's trying to find a way to justify in his mind how he can do that better job and be compensated accordingly.
Let me ask you a question, Michael. If you knew that he had a sick child that he hadn't told you about that needed health care and big doctor bills, would you look at this situation differently?
Well, yeah, you know that about me. I mean, my whole realm of operation is to care for my people, and so yeah, I probably would look at the situation differently. I'd probably try to find other ways to take care of the situation.
So we don't know really what the story is. So I just encourage you to open up those alternatives, looking at from our discussion earlier about decide, looking at what are considered the alternatives, zoom out, expand the alternatives that you might have out there.
Yeah.
And I know we don't have a whole lot of time for coaching. Coaching is typically, 30 minutes to an hour. So we don't have that kind of luxury of time, but what are some alternatives? What are some things that you could consider now to develop a plan so that it would be a win-win situation, both for you and for the employee?
So I do understand that the man needs to be out of where he's living. He needs to find a better place. He wants to move closer to our operation. I could certainly take time. The next move will be to take some time to find out really what's going on and what his concerns and needs are for his family. Because when you become a leader in my company, one of my main concerns is that you don't worry about money. I don't want you to have to. I don't want that to be a part of your stress. So
I love what you said. I love what you said about the next move. And so just for you and for everyone else, we don't have to have the full plan every time we go out. And sometimes we just need to figure out what's the next best move for me to make. And so I love what you said there, Michael, about you've already identified that next best move along the way. And then the cycle starts all over again. Once you move into that, you can see, okay, let's back up. Let's look at the environment, the situation that we're in. Have things changed? And just go back through defining the issue, the problem, establishing the criteria.
I love that decide slide. That was great. I think that'd be a big help.
Well, I know it's a very quick, but one of the things that I think is that we all face, especially in uncertain times, is that again we sort of jump to conclusions, and we have to pause and say to ourselves, what stories am I telling myself? One of my mentors, Paul Martinelli, always says that what you see first is our senses bring things to us, and then we tell ourselves a story of where we're going to go. And from that story, we get an emotion, and from that emotion, we take an action. And from the action, we get the result. Most of us want to just back up, right? And change the result. You got to go all the way back to your thinking to make that happen. So kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks. It reminds me that as one of the distinctions of being human is that we live in the story. And so that creates a lot of uncertainty. So I can see how this model would be valuable.
Excellent. Well, Michael,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you
for volunteering.
My pleasure.
I want to add my thanks, Michael. I really appreciate you joining us and volunteering to be coached, and hope that is valuable. It sounds like you're applying that content right away. And I encourage others that are joining us to also think about how they can use the content that Rob shared and apply it. So what we're encouraging you to do is to think about takeaways, as Rob was asking Michael. For the rest of you, also think about, from what Rob shared, what are you going to take away from today? And if you want to share that in the chat, we'd love to hear it. Like what's something in coaching we call what you might commit to doing, right? Based on the content you heard today, the coaching you saw Rob and Michael do, what might you commit to doing in your own life? And just as Michael called it, the next action could be just the next action. You don't have to have a whole plan, but what might be the next action that you're going to take based on what you heard today? We love to hear that in the chat. I'm going to keep talking while you guys are thinking about what you want to put in the chat, but we love to hear that in the chat. So just a reminder, you're going to get an email after this broadcast, just a few minutes after we sign off. And in that email, you'll get a link to a web page that'll have the leadership playbook here of how to lead in uncertain times. So you'll be able to download that and go more in depth, kind of like Rob was stepping Michael through. You also get a copy of the slide deck that you saw today in our webinar, and you'll have an opportunity for you to be coached, just like Michael was coached by Rob. And you'll be able to do one-on-one with Rob at no cost, no obligation. We hope you take advantage of that opportunity. And we welcome your feedback on today's webinar. So the follow-up email will have a link, but you could do that right now. You can scan this QR code. We'd love to get your feedback right after we wrap up a practice we do after every major event or meeting the leadership coach group, as we do an after action review. We'd love to be able to look at your survey results right as we're having our after action review from this webinar. So go ahead, it's just a short survey. We'd love to hear your thoughts or your ideas for future webinar topics. We really welcome that feedback. We encourage our own clients to solicit, receive feedback well, and we try to walk our talk. So as I mentioned, this is a monthly webinar series. So next up for us is the stress reset. As we talked about how stress can be something that's characteristic of leading in uncertain times, we gave you a taste of how you might address that type of stress. Next month, we're going to go in greater depth with one of our coaches that is really outstanding in this area, Jen Bieri. She's going to be leading us through how to reset yourself so you can handle these types of challenging and uncertain times. And that'll be on September 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we hope you can join us next month for that. If you go to our website, you also can sign up to get monthly reminders of our webinars coming up. So I want to remind you that we are here for you. We give you a taste, we know, but we're here beyond that session. As we mentioned, you'll have an email within a few minutes of this broadcast ending that gives you a link to additional resources, including getting free one-on-one coaching from Rob. So we encourage you to take advantage of that. If you're looking for more extensive support, you can reach out to Maya or I. Our emails are in the chat, and we'd love to hear from you and just brainstorm what services might be helpful to you for whatever challenge you're facing right now. As an individual, as your team, we are here for you. So please do reach out to us. You can give us a call, go to our website, explore our services. We encourage you to do that. So with that, I want to thank again, Rob, very much. Thank you, Rob, for sharing your wisdom with us, sharing that content. Appreciate your collaboration, not just in this one activity, but throughout the years. Feel like we've continued to be doing that improv together, as a team. So thank you. Flexing, adapting to whatever challenge we had as a company and whatever our customers need. I also want to thank Michael, who joined us and volunteered. I want to thank Carl and Maya for their help in doing this webinar and everything you do for the Leadership Coach Group. I really appreciate it. And we want to thank, of course, all of you for joining us here today. We hope to see you again at a future webinar in September or one of the other months. Thank you all very much for joining us. We're the Leadership Coach Group team. We appreciate you joining us. We hope this has been helpful as you lead your team through uncertain times. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.